Yeah, I won the Futurity in 2003. The horse's name was One Smart Lookin Cat. He was the very first highbrow cat to ever win the Futurity. Yeah. So one of the things that I remember most about the Futurity that year and that night, the whole thing leading up to the finals, was everything seemed to fall into place. We won the semifinals the night before. I think at that time there had only been, I think only Docalina was the only horse at that time ever to have won the semifinals, come back and won the finals as well. So a lot of pressure. Knew we had the horse that could do it, and I got up that morning, went to work him, went in there by myself in the arena, all alone, loped him down myself, got him ready, and just cut a cow on him and just tried to let him relax because we'd held a really bad cow in the semifinals. So he made 4 or 5 turns and felt like he was ready to go. So I just kind of let him walk around a little bit and quit him, and everything from that moment on, everything felt like it was just falling into place. You know, that horse was really unique in the sense that he was really smart. He was very sensitive, especially for a stallion. You didn't have to do much to him. As a matter of fact, he taught me, and I had done this on some horses before, but him more so than any other horse I'd ever ridden. Once I got him trained, less was more. The more I let him relax and the more I let him go slow and be soft, the better he was in the finals, or the better he was to go show. And he would get better. It almost gave him confidence and let him understand that he was doing it right and that he was in control. And the more I gave it to him, the better he was. You know, it's a unique story how we came to have One Smart Lookin Cat. A good friend of mine, Scott McClurg, at that time was working for the Weens Ranch up in Colorado. This was in the, I guess, spring or early spring of what would have been his 2-year-old year. So I called Scott, and we were looking for some other horses. I had a couple different customers. One was John McLaren that was looking to buy some horses that year. And so I called Scott and said, hey, what do you have? Because I knew they were selling some. Weens Ranch had a reputation for having some good brood mares. Scott always did a good job getting the horses started and broke and things going right. So he told me he had a couple to come look at. One of them was One Smart Lookin Cat. There was something about that horse that I had not ever felt in another horse at that time, especially that was that, I mean, he was just a green 2-year-old, been on cows maybe 10 or 12 times. And there was a way that horse moved and understood what a cow was about to do and could react and stop. He had a really, really sudden stop to him and was very, very light on his feet. So when he would stop and draw back and read that cow, that was something, the way he did that was something I had never felt in another 2-year-old at that point in time. You know, Will Rogers Coliseum is a really unique place to show a horse. When things go right in there, it feels different than anywhere else I've ever shown a horse. And we won money all over the country, all over the world in a lot of different places. But for some reason or another, and I don't know whether it's the history and knowing the horses and the riders that had come before you and had success in that pen, or if it's just the way that Coliseum is. There's something about Will Rogers Coliseum that is unique. And when it fits in there, it's got a feeling like no other place in the world, especially if there's a big crowd there. When you're there on finals night, Futurity finals night especially, and things go right, it's different than anywhere I've ever shown a horse. So Will Rogers can be the coolest place to show a horse when things go right. And in the same breath, it can be the roughest place to show a horse when things don't go right. That Coliseum's big. The arena's wide. If you cut a bad cow in there, it can take you places. It can seem like that pin's 300 foot across there running across that arena. And the angles could get really funny in that Coliseum. For some reason or another, the way the back fence is shaped, and it is unique, the way it's rounded and some different characteristics that it has. But cattle can do things in there when they get in the wrong spot. They can do things in there that they don't do any other place, and it puts horses in a position that they may not find themselves in anywhere else. The other part of that is if something goes wrong in that Coliseum, that's where our 3 major events are held every year and where the most money is given away every year. And horses remember that building. That building's unique. It's got a different feel to it. It's got unique features about getting there, about unloading, about bringing them through, the way they enter. There's only one way in, one way out, and it just is different. And a horse that has something bad happen to him there doesn't forget it. I won't say to win the Futurity, makes your life or makes your career. And we had a lot of success before we won the Futurity, had won nearly $1 million. But winning that Futurity puts you in a unique club of some of the very best horsemen, not only just cutting horse riders, but horsemen that have ever crawled into the saddle. And there's a mystique about it. So for me, it was a personal thing and something that I had set my sights on as a very, very young man, at actually 12 years old, when I knew that was what I wanted to do, was to be a cutting horse trainer. To my mother's dismay at times, but it changed my life in the sense that it put me into that elite group and that elite club. We've got some riders in our association that have won more money than anybody has, that have never been able to win that Futurity, and it's a hard thing to make happen, and a lot of things have to go right. It has to be your night. And there's so many things that can go wrong with having, 2 go-rounds, a semifinals and a finals. It really is a feeling that you get that all the moon and the stars and the planets have all lined up right in the right spot for you to be the center of attention at that time. And it gives you a certain confidence and kind of almost a calm after that you don't have until you... It's hard to describe it, because until you've done it, and it's something that I wish that everybody had an opportunity to feel, especially people who've dedicated their life to this. I wish that everybody could feel what that feels like, because until you've done it, you can't really describe it, and it's something that I don't think you'll ever feel again. So, there's been so many great runs, so many memorable runs in Will Rogers Coliseum, especially at the Futurity, because that is the first time. It's the coming out party for the cutting horse. So I really remember, vividly in my mind, the first Futurity I ever went to and got to be there on finals night was the year that Bill Freeman won on Smart Lolina. And that, I still get chills today. Bill was one of my heroes. He was one of my mentors. I feel honored to be able to call him a friend. But I remember watching him that night and thinking how cool that was, and how I wanted to be that guy. It was really unique. Phil Rapps had some incredible runs in there on different horses. Gary Belenfant on Pepta Boonsmall. That was one of the stellar runs that I've seen in there. Kathy Dawn, J-Bar Fletch that she showed, and I mean there's been some just incredible horses that have started their career and started a legacy or dynasty possibly in this industry in that building on that night. And so that, to me, that's where the history of our association really starts, is finals night of the Futurity. So there's a lot to be said for that. So, one of the unique things also about our industry is how it's evolved, and that Futurity's evolved. Cutting itself has evolved in many different aspects. Probably the most drastic, I think, and it's something that's unique to our industry, is cattle have changed. The breeds of cattle have changed. How we handle cattle's changed. And that dictates what we do with a horse. So, I can remember even the days, like I mentioned before about Smart Lolina, even the days of watching Smart Lolina in that pen, cattle were different. And we trained horses to do different things because they have to work those cows. So, nowadays the horses to me, even since I won the Futurity in 2003, have even evolved a whole nother level, because the cattle have changed again. The cattle have gotten faster. They've gotten where they're a little trickier to read. A horse really has to be more accurate now, I think, than what it did back in that day, and much more so than it did, 10 years before that. But the cattle, that dictates our industry, and the training methods have to adapt to the cattle. The horses have to adapt to the cattle. And in turn, the judging has to adapt to the cattle, because now, we don't see a horse. Used to, what we wanted to see was a horse go out there and shower down in front of a cow and see how cowy he was. That was what everybody looked for on it. Now a horse really has to be able to go run and stop and be accurate and think more than what a horse maybe did back then. I know some guys might get mad at me for hearing me say that, but I think we have to be honest about that. In any sport, especially a sport that has as much money to it as what we do, and people who spend as much money in the industry as what they do, our horses who are competitive have great value to them. And the ones who look like they might be competitive before we know whether they are or not, sometimes are worth even more. So it's a unique situation in that, and everything has to evolve like that. I mean, we've seen football evolve, we've seen baseball evolve, that all the major sports have to evolve in order to survive. If they don't, they become stagnant, people get bored with them, and they go away. So to me, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that the industry changes. It's a good thing the breeds change. And it shows us that our sport is moving forward, and it gives us a place to go and a future to look forward to.
Well, this is the guy we've been talking about most of the night. He won the semis last night with a 2:23, was 3 points, I believe, ahead of everybody else. This is Craig Morris.
I think he was 4 points ahead of everybody.
Is he 4 points? Okay, we'll give him 4. Heck, you can have 5 at this point. This horse is called One Smart Lookin Cat. Great name. Again, the highbrow cats, very dominant. Mentioned earlier, 14 cats in the semis out of 75 horses.
Craig's nervous. He's barking orders. He's talking to the help. He's wanting to get it over with. He wants to get on with it. Now's the time. He's got the horse. He's got the draw. He needs to gather himself up and say, I can get this done.
You think he really is nervous, though?
He looks nervous, but the horse doesn't look nervous. So maybe this horse is going to help him get through it.
And let me tell you, it's all about the horses here tonight, folks. This is a stallion owned by John McLaren. Now, John is the one who might be nervous out there in the audience.
Here we go. The door's open for him to win it.
Well, if he's nervous, he's looking pretty cool right now.
It's okay to be nervous. It's just controlling it. And Craig's been here a lot of times. He's going to control it. And I got a feeling he's going to lay down a pretty good run.
Craig is another top competitor. Just outstanding. He's done so much in the industry. He's been very involved with a lot of the programs here, and has always been in the top. You see Craig everywhere in the finals, but he's not won the Futurity. This might be the night. $200,000 will go in his pocket if he can accomplish that.
He's made a good cut. He's off to a good start. You're going to see how physical this horse is. And if the cow brings the game to the horse, this horse is going to show just how tough he is. Didn't stay with the cow very long. That's not going to help him.
But I think that was a wise move.
Well, because the cow didn't give him enough challenge.
I agree. I'm learning. I'm catching all this now. It takes me a while to catch up, but I think that was a smart move. Probably something, like you said, he didn't really want to have to be forced off of, but it could have gotten worse.
It's kind of like in football, he punted on his first possession. So now he's going back in for the second one. He's going to see if he can score a touchdown.
Well, he's got great herd work, which the judges.
It's another good cut. Now this cow looks like this is a test here. He's got the cow focused. If he keeps this stopped, his score is going to go straight up. Stay focused, Craig. The worst thing he can do is override his horse right now. His horse is wired into the cow.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect showmanship.
Broadcasters aren't supposed to get sweaty palms, are they?
35 seconds.
And it could all come down to this.
It's all going to come down to 30 seconds.
Yes, it is.
All right.
And he really needs to probably come cut and have some working time.
Right now he's telling himself, number one, make a good cut. He's pointed his cow. He's got to stick with the black cow.
Oh, my.
That was a little scary, but he got it back under control. He needs to get this cow stopped, get it to look at him. There you go. Turnback man got him to look back at him. Got some real help there.
Oh, boy. He's bringing the house down in Will Rogers. smart looking cat.
That's something nobody can ever take away from you. You'll forever be the 2003 Open Futurity champion. And that's got to be a tremendous milestone in your life, and we're going to look forward to seeing you in a whole bunch of other events. Tell us a little bit about how you felt.
It's just incredible. This was something that I've dreamed about accomplishing since I very first ever stepped on a cutting horse. And it's just incredible. I don't know how else to describe it.
You don't need to. Tell us a little bit about your horse.
My horse has been a super horse all along. I went to Colorado in the summer of his 2-year-old year and purchased him from Scott McClure at the Weems Ranch. And the first day I crawled on him and cut a cow, I thought he was a very special horse. And he's proved that to me ever since that first day, and he proved it tonight.
Well, it's a tremendous tribute to you as a trainer to take a 3-year-old horse and win a championship that was as tough as this one was tonight. And again, congratulations, and you'll live with this all year long, and you'll grin every time you think about it. Thank you, Craig, and congratulations.
Thank you.